Willie D Live.
Doc, so let's talk about your kidney
Yes,
situation.
Sir. Yes, sir.
So you did get a replacement, right? You did.
No, I was on the way to that. So I was transitioning out of the streets. I was still like depressed, suicidal, homicidal. And my first job that I was trying to get was driving trucks for a living. So I had to go for a DOT physical to be insured on the trucks. And the numbers came back. They was like, 1, we can't insure you. 2, you need to go to a doctor right now. Come to find out, went to the doctor at 23. I was already at 17% kidney functionality. So my kidney was pretty much already failed. And as a result, a few years later, working on that, I went blind in my left eye. Had to get like 3 different surgeries. But yeah, mine started super early. And I didn't even know because I was probably about 40, 50 pounds heavier, athletic build. I thought I was cool until I got that news. And that's the thing with diseases like kidney issues, it's silent. Like you can have no symptoms per se until you go to the doctor and find out, okay, I got some things I got to work on. Yeah.
So how did you resolve the issue? Is the issue resolved?
So initially, I was just dependent on, modern medicine. They had me on a drug called lisinopril. I was the youngest person in the renal center every week at Newark DNJ. And eventually, I started out of desperation. I always say people learn one of 2 ways. You either inspiration, or you're desperate. Most of us got to be desperate to incorporate some new things. So I started digging. The more I got close to rock bottom, I just started to get real thirsty for information. Physically first, to just heal myself. And then that's when I kind of got led to the spirit sciences because I never cared about nobody's meditation. I never thought I would be doing what I'm doing right now. So initially it was relying on the doctors, and come to find out, I remember when I had done enough spiritual work to have like my sixth sense kick in, and I was compelled to get off the medication. I didn't tell nobody. I didn't even tell my doctor. I didn't tell my parents. And it had been a year after being off the medication, and my doctor was like, you know what? Over the past year, your numbers have been so good, I'm going to recommend you get off the medication. And I told him, like, Doc, I ain't been on this in a year. Come to find out 3 years later, lisinopril, which was the drug, it has an extremely negative impact on black people especially. It can cause angioedema. It can cause intense bouts of depression. And I was already going through a lot, but I had no idea the lisinopril was even impacting that even further. That may not be the case for everybody. I'm not going to sit here and act like a doctor. But when I did find out that information, it was like God really came through before I even understood how the spirit can give you certain wisdom and data that you need for yourself. I got that impulse to just seemingly do something that was going to harm me even further. But that's what I needed to just clear my energy enough to further go down the line of meditation, which really is what healed me. It got to the point where I had went from 17% functionality to 83%. The last time I was at the doctor at that point. I've had some things come back up that I'm currently dealing with now, but I'm dealing with it from a scope of not being in fear about it. Like when I first got these downloads, I'm thinking about my mortality every day. And from where we thinking about a jump out boy getting shot, something like that. We'll accept that. It was hard to accept that my mortality was happening from the inside out, my body literally eating itself. So at this point, it's nowhere near as crazy as it was then, but now I have the emotional tools to know how to deal with it and just take it as an opportunity to learn my body more.
Is there a history of that in your family?
Yes, my uncle on my mother's side, Uncle Frankie, he actually died of the exact same thing. At the same age I found out about mine. I don't know about my father, but definitely on my mother's side of things. And now my mother is also pre-diabetic. Just found out she's dealing with some cancerous issues right now. So there is part of it in my lineage that I know I'm responsible for, I guess, creating a divot in my lineage and kind of healing our generation. Because, of course, I went to plant-based living. I've been vegan for about 5-6 years at this point. So it wasn't just the meditation, but my approach to my health and my body. All that had to change. And I realized now having a son, 4 or 5 years old, one piece of meat, he stole a piece of shrimp off his mom's plate at a barbecue one time. But outside of that, his diet has been pristine, has been super clean. So for me to be in a position I was and to get to a point of not having the dialysis and the transplant actually happen, like they gave me the death sentence of, to see what my mom is having to fight through later in life, and then to see my son coming into his life cycle with all the tools that we didn't have, it's like the full circle of healing. And a lot of us are here to break these generational curses. I'm just in a privileged position to have gotten the information to know how to do that.